All right, quick update before we get into this video. Right now, if you go to porphisonline.com and use the discount code PAINTBYCurry, you can get 5% off your order. So check the description. You'll also find some updated information on these paint guns as well. Thanks. All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Porphis brand of spray guns. Now, these were sent to me to try out, so I didn't pay for them. Just to let y'all guys know that. But they did tell me to pick out a couple guns off their website. They've got a really good site and they have lots of different automotive paint guns. So I just kind of picked on two of them, and so we're going to find out how well they work. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to spray this hood here. I'm going to use one half of the hood to spray with one gun, one half to spray the other gun. We're going to be using Omni MP 170 epoxy as a sealer, and then we're going to use some Omni MBC silver base coat just to get a good idea how well these things work with metallics. And then we're going to go back on top of that with some VC 5700 clear and really see how well these things will lay something down. All right, so what we've got is the PRD-716. This is their PRD-717 series, and this one here is particular is a HVLP gun. It's 1.3. Now, I like these guns because everything's clearly labeled on them. You can see they look really good. They're not your super dirt cheap guns. They are right around $250 or less, somewhere in that ballpark. But they're really nicely made. They even give you indication on the rear there, max PSI of 29 PSI or 2 bar. They have indicators on all the adjustments, so you can easily tell where you've turned the knobs. The rear fluid control actually has a detent in it, so you get a little feel about every 1/8 of a turn, which is really nice. And of course, I've got a 3M 2.0 PPS adapter on top. You can get multiple adapters if you want to run the 3M cup, the Sata cup, or some other type of disposable cup, but it does come with a plastic reusable 600 milliliter cup. All right, so next up is the PRD-717. Now, everything on this gun is exactly the same as the other one because, like I say, this is the PRD-71 series. There's 3 different models in this. This particular one here is also a 1.3, but is what they call their split nozzle. So it looks really new, or really similar to all the other new guns out there. Your Iwata Sata, they've got that split nozzle technology going. This is the same thing. This one also retails for, I want to say $250 or $260. So, you know, it's not super expensive, but by the looks of them and the way they've sprayed already, the quality of them, they're really, really good. I've sprayed a little bit with this one. I've sprayed more with the other gun, but I haven't quite got a hold of anything that was a good metallic. I've sprayed a white Tricoat pearl, but everything else I keep getting just solid blacks and whites. So like I said, that's why we're gonna pull the silver out and we're gonna give these guns a real test to see how well they control the metallics. All right, so I'm gonna get suited up, tack this thing off. We're gonna go ahead and shoot that Omni MP 170, get one good coat of that down. Like I said, we're gonna be splitting both sides, and then in the end, we'll see which gun seems to spray better, but I'm pretty sure they're both gonna spray great. So this isn't exactly the best sealer in the world. It never does spray super flat. So it's not really a good example, but I want to show you kind of what the difference is. I'm not sure if you can really see this, but 716, which is the HVLP side, it seems to have a little more texture to it. It seemed like it was putting more paint out. And the 717 does definitely have a finer texture to it. Did seem to put a little bit less out. I felt like I needed to slow down a little bit. But compared to everything else I've always shot and used with this sealer, or this primer sealer, that's all normal. All right, so at the moment we're 3 coats in. Everything looks covered when I throw the light on it. Now this is a M157, which is a really coarse silver. It looks pretty good now with the light on it. It looks like it has a little bit of a blotch to it, which is not uncommon. Every time I've sprayed this silver, it's always kind of a pain to get it to lay down correctly without doing a drop coat. So what we're going to do is drop coat it, and I'm going to cut my air pressure down somewhere in the 10 to 12 psi range. All this has been sprayed at 17 psi with both guns. I've ran both guns completely wide open, so I'm not going to sit here and fiddle with a bunch of adjustments. I'm running them both pretty much exactly the same, which is on par with where they should be used, and just to find out what they do in that range. I'm sure you could make some adjustments and probably change how they work. So I'm going to get a control coat down, and I'm going to go right into shooting the VC5700 clear. We're going to bump our air pressures on up to around 26 psi with both of those guns, and we're going to put 2 coats of VC5700 on there, and we'll see how well it lays it out. It's after 2 coats of VC 5700. Let's take a peek. Now everything turned out really good. I don't really see any blotching anywhere. It seems to have controlled the metallics really nice. Now this is the 717 side here, and it does look a bit smoother all the way through the paint job. The 716, I don't think you can see what I'm seeing, but there's a little bit of texture, and that texture started off in the beginning with that sealer. Now I don't think there's anything wrong with the gun. That is a difficult sealer to use. A lot of people don't even use that as a sealer anymore. It's just something I had, cheap, something to put down to try these guns out with. The 17 did spray it smoother, and it shows all the way through the paint job, but I believe the 16 sprayed the metallics just as good. It was just the sealer has a tiny bit of texture to it, and unless you're really looking at it like me, you'd never know it. Now, all in all, the 716 sprays great. It could probably use a little bit more air pressure since I did run both guns exactly the same, but upon their recommendations, the VS or the split nozzle, the 717, they consider that gun from anywhere from 0 to 29 PSI, and the HVLP, I believe, is like 13 PSI to 29. So I think it could have took a little more air pressure, and it probably would have laid that sealer down a bit better. Or if we just had a better sealer, I'm sure it would lay right on down. They both lay down base coat really well. They both laid down clear really well. Of course, I tightened up to the panel. I was spraying at 26. Probably could go a little higher on that 716, the HVLP, but it seemed to like 26 with the 717. But both guns, this is identical to a factory paint job, if not a little better. They're both great guns. So I mean, for what they cost, man, this is great. Now, I've used both of the guns a little bit already, so I kind of knew what I was expecting, but a little bit of playing here and there, I'm sure you could make them spray anything really well. The 716 retailed for I think $240, and the 717 I believe was $260 US at the time. Don't quote me on that. I'll put a link to the description, or I'll put a link in the description to that PRD-717 series as well as their website. Now, one thing to note with the PRD-71, if you have either one of them, or there's 3 different models, the MP, the VS, which is the split nozzle, and then the HVLP. You can buy just the needle, nozzle, and cap for the split nozzle or for the MP. So if you have the HVLP and you want a split nozzle, you can simply buy that package for a little over $100, I believe. So you could essentially buy one gun because all 3 frames are the same, and then just buy what you need for each one. So with the 716 HVLP I have, I can just go buy needle nozzle combos to make that gun an MP or to make that gun a split nozzle. So essentially I have 3 guns in one, and I'll still be in the $450 range, which is less money than some of these other really high dollar paint guns. But this thing here, man, it sprays really good. I'm thoroughly surprised. I'm glad they hit me up to try these things out. I really like them. I'm gonna try the MP, so I'm gonna get me one of those cap needle nozzle sets so I can stick it on one of these guns and see how well it works. But you know, all in all, man, they're great guns. I wish I'd have known about this company a while back. I'm not sure how long they've been able to sell these in the US, but they're definitely worth that little bit of extra money. They're not a $50 cheap paint gun, and the price for them versus a high-end gun, they're high-end to me. They're spraying really nice. I've sprayed EnviroBase with them. This is Omni MBC, the VC 5700 Clear. I've sprayed Omni Clear, and they work really well. You know, with any gun, you got to tweak it a little bit. So, all in all, a good gun, good product, and hopefully they continue to make some good products. All right, so I'm gonna stick this thing out in the sun. We'll take a peek at it at the end here, but hopefully you learned a little something. If you did, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and tap that bell, and I'll catch you on the next one. Yeah, that thing definitely sprays really, really nice. All the metallics look great out here. Love that silver. Yes, sir.